Today is January the 4th. Where did it all go wrong? Let's find out together as we study Genesis 5 to 9. So today we'd like you to read chapters 5 to 9 of Genesis. That will take you all the way through the flood story. In Genesis chapter 5, as we start these verses, we read, "This is the written account of the descendants of Adam." Now, that's the New Living Translation of the Hebrew. Other translations say something like, "This is the book of the genealogy of Adam." And indeed, that is a very literal translation. The book of the genealogy, what follows then, is a genealogy of Adam's descendants. But more importantly, the book of the genealogy of is a phrase that divides Genesis into the story of 5 people. From chapters 1 through 4, we have the story of Adam. From chapters 5 through 9, we have the story of Noah. In Genesis 10:1, this is the account of the families of Shem, Ham, and Japheth, or the book of the genealogies of Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Then in Genesis chapter 25, verse 19, this is the account of the family of Isaac. And we have now the story of Jacob. Now it's interesting, the genealogy runs Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, but Isaac doesn't get his own section of Genesis. Instead, he is always simply viewed as either the son of Abraham or the father of Jacob. So we have Adam, Noah, Abraham, now we have Jacob. Then in chapter 37, verse 2, this is the account of Joseph and his family. More literally, this is the book of the genealogy of Joseph. Now the interesting thing is that immediately you have no genealogy. There is no genealogy that the author of Genesis goes into. Instead, he goes straight into the story of Joseph. The book of Genesis is divided into the story of 5 people: Adam, Noah, Abraham, Jacob, and Joseph. And in each case, there is a purpose in what the author tells us. Now today we're reading that entire section from Genesis 5 to 9, the story of Noah. You will have noticed in chapter 6, it starts off very unusually. It tells the story of the sons of God who looked at the earth and they saw beautiful women in the daughters of men. And what did they do? They lusted. Instead of enjoying, they lusted after them. And so they came and they took them as their wives. They exploited them. As a result, giants were born to them. The evil of the earth is accentuated in Genesis 6, the first 7 verses. But starting in verse 8, we hear of a man. And the purpose of this is indeed Genesis 5:8. But Noah found favor with the Lord. Favor or grace. Noah enjoyed God's grace. God took compassion on Noah. Now, it's interesting. Genesis 6, 1 to 4 tells us of a further fall of man. In the New Testament talks about Adam's fall. The New Testament talks about Cain and Abel. but it doesn't mention Genesis 6, 1-4. Intertestamental literature, on the other hand, goes wild. Intertestamental literature talks about Adam's fall, talks about Cain and Abel. And when it comes to Genesis 6, 1-4, there are entire books written that explain this fall, that narrate this fall, that go into great detail. First and Second Enoch tell us of the fall of the Watchers, these sons of God who lust after women are identified as watchers. In the New Testament, it really doesn't mention that at all. It certainly does mention Noah, though. Chapters 6-9 goes into detail telling us what took place, how God decided to destroy the wickedness in the earth. Noah builds an ark to rescue himself and his family from the flood. After the flood, God reaffirms his covenant with Noah and his sons. But when we come to the end of chapter 9, again, chapter 9, verses 18-29 tells us how sin crept back into the whole thing. Ham, one of Noah's sons, discovers the nakedness of his father. Frankly, we're not totally sure what went on. We do know Noah got drunk. He lay on his bed naked. Ham went in to see his father naked, came out, and mocked his father to his brothers. Shem and Japheth went in backwards, not to see their father's nakedness, with a sheet between them and covered their father up. They were congratulated. Ham was cursed. The whole point of this passage is to let us know that God destroying the evil on the earth did not take care of the problem of sin. We continue on next week looking at Abraham to see the next section of the story of God dealing with sin. Today, as you read these chapters, think about your own life. Where does sin crop up its ugly head in your life? Give that to the Lord today. Let Him take care of it for you. Please like, follow, and subscribe on whatever platform you use to listen to this podcast. Tomorrow, we begin our study of the book of Psalms.